Why is it so cold? Why is it so warm? So my Garmin is currently saying it's 0.6 degrees Celsius, which if you're using freedom units, is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is quite literally freezing. But I am fully expecting it to be about 11 or 12 degrees in a couple of hours by the time we finish this ride. So what the hell are you supposed to wear at this time of year? So if you know me well enough by now, you'll know that I refuse to wear anything but shorts at any time of the year, and such is the case today. But it's my upper body that really gets cold. So currently I have on a short sleeve jersey, a gilet made of merino wool, and then this long sleeve merino wool jersey, and of course my buff. I haven't got the headband on to keep the ears warm this morning, although I am starting to think that maybe I should have brought it. Right, gents, we're talking clothing for transitional days. So Jimmy, I know you're a fan of a layer.
Yes.
How do you cope with these cold to warm transitional days?
3 to 4 layers, base layers, a nice jersey on top, and get a gilet.
The gilet
Keeps your torso warm. It keeps your arms nice and free. Another essential bit of kit: buff, light buff, thin buff. Can't go wrong with a buff. Good pair of gloves and overshoes.
How about you, Stu?
depends how fat you are, because Jimmy's as thin as a rake. I always get it wrong.
Do the opposite of Stu.
wearing?
I thought I would just wear shorts and t-shirt, like a jersey, like the old days. And then I looked out the window. I thought, oh, it looks lovely out there. And then Chris came to meet me and said it's 1 degree outside.
But by which point it was too late to change.
I reluctantly put this coat on. I couldn't find my long sleeve gloves. And then Chris goes, why can't you wear your jacket? And I found my jacket and my gloves are in it, so
there's a tip for you. If ever you're wondering what to wear on a particular day, give Stuart a call, find out what he's wearing, wear the opposite. Right, well 10 minutes later and it's already 3 degrees. I can see this getting warm pretty quick.
Straight down the middle.
He went straight down the middle. What a beautiful spring day. It is, however, now 5 degrees. What a day.
What a day.
Six degrees. And we're just about to get to the cafe stop, so who knows how hot it's going to be when we come out of there. My brake appears to have developed an infernal squeak. Oh no. Okay, well, turns out the cafe stop that I found is not open on Good Friday. Gonna take my squeaky brake somewhere else. Right, so back on Komoot to plot a route to our usual cafe stop. And if you haven't seen my Komoot review video yet, or you don't even know what Komoot is, I'll leave a link up here to it. Okay, ridiculously, in real time, it was about 5 minutes ago that I told you it was 6 degrees. It's now 7.5 degrees. Oh, you gotta love these transitional days. So Stuart's just reminded me of a very apt quote. Be bold, start cold. And actually I'm happy to see today that both Stu and the two Chris's are all in shorts like me. It's just Jimmy letting the team down.
It was 0 degrees when we started.
Yeah, but it's now 8 degrees. Woo! It is starting to get warm. So talking of the weather, such as we are, I'm glad to see that this road that we came down a few months ago when it was -5 and effectively just an ice rink. What are we doing, Jimmy?
What are we doing? -5? Nah.
Is now benefiting from a lot more friction and traction. We don't need our ice skates this time. Our usual spot is open. let's go and get some breakfast. Although Jimmy has now developed somewhat a slow puncture. His tyre hasn't gone completely flat, but it is decidedly floppy. Right, let's get this fixed. Well, that's breakfast done, and we're now on the way home, and my Garmin is saying that it's currently 18.2 degrees. I'm not entirely sure about that. It has been sat in my back pocket for a while. That could be something to do with it. Give it a couple of minutes and hopefully it'll update. But it must be warm because Stuart is now wearing his short sleeve gloves and short fingered jersey.
Sun's out.
So in other news, my rear disc brake is still squeaking, but strangely, only when my right crank is pointing down. Right, Chris thinks he's got a solution for my squeaky crank.
No, I think your squeak is not when your right crank is down. I think your squeak is when your left crank is down. And I wonder if you've got a bit of flex somewhere in there, and down on the left side means that you've got the pressure that side and it's pulling the caliper slightly, maybe?
It's better than any suggestion I've got, and apparently any that Stuart's got as well. Yeah. Cheers for your input though, Stu. But weirdly, when I'm putting pressure on the pedals, it's just when I'm freewheeling. I'm being told off for freewheeling.
And I'm freewheeling.
So it's now 13 degrees and the gloves have had to come off because it is now getting very, very warm. I think the buff will be the next casualty. Woo! Whoa!
It's blowing there. He's got you. He's got you.
Oh, well, the buff's gone. Even Jimmy's saying he could do with taking the layer off.
Yeah, it's hot.
That's unheard of.
I admit it. It's warm.
Only about 7 miles to get home though. We'll be all right. And yet more other news. I forgot to mention earlier, I am back out on the carbon fibre bike. And as much as I've fallen truly, madly and deeply in love with my gravel bike, it must be said that I'm enjoying being out on a nice light bike. I picked it up this morning and I nearly threw it across the room, it was that light, and it definitely makes it easier getting up those hills. So I'd obviously put it away for the winter, but the other reason that I hadn't been out on it in the last few weeks is because I had an issue with my shifter cable, and I discovered when I took it all apart that maybe I didn't quite route the cables the correct way when I first built it. Oops. So they're now routed correctly, but then once I sorted that out, I realized there was a problem with my rear brake, in that I would pull the brake lever, the brake would engage, but then it wouldn't spring back out again. So I had a stuck caliper. However, it wasn't the caliper's fault, I discovered. It was the brake cable had completely seized up inside the cable housing. So I had to rip the cable out and it was black. And I can only assume that water had got in there at some point and just been sat in the cable housing. So half an hour and a bit of WD-40 later, and the cable housing was clean again, new cable in, and now it's working as good as anything. And then I had to put the bar tape back on. So I was up until about 1 AM last night fixing it, and then up at 6:30 this morning to come out on this ride. So it's fair to say I'm feeling a little bit tired, but nothing will wake you up more than a good ride out. And the 0 degrees was definitely a wake-up call this morning. Stop working for a second.
It's double lock.
It is double lock. So we are a mile from home and it's now 14 degrees. It is mega warm. That's my brother.
Thank you for breakfast. Great to see you.
Good ride.
Got
How's
my
it
arm
feeling?
back.
Oh, we didn't, yeah. I didn't even talk about Chris being back this week, and he's back with his dodgy elbow.
Such a non-event.
How is the elbow?
It's a bit sore, but it's all right. Not enough to stop me coming out cycling on such a glorious day, such great people.
Where are they?
Well, Chris is already gone.
Right, well, oh yeah, homeward bound now. So yes, this is the problem with these transitional days. You go out early in the morning, it's freezing cold, and by the time you get back, it's like a lovely summer's day. But hang about, and I'll give you the real tip for people who aren't mad and just go out wearing next to nothing. Nice one, brother. That was a good ride. Right, well, aside from the fact that I am steaming hot, that was an awesome ride. So yeah, these transitional days are difficult to dress for. You're either too hot by the end of your ride, or you have to start off freezing. And quite honestly, the latter is what I prefer to do. That brake disc is absolutely driving me mental. Listen to it. So that's the rest of my Saturday dealing with that break. Right, so now I'm home, I'll tell you how you actually deal with these transitional days. Now the answer is layers, such as leg warmers and arm sleeves, because the benefit of these is that you can slide them on easily in the morning, pull them all the way up under your jersey, and then as you start to get hot a bit later on, you peel them off and they go in your jersey pocket. Same with the leg warmers. Slip these on, as I will beautifully model here, and then even mid-ride, you don't need to stop. They've got a zip at the bottom so they open wide, and you can just unclip, drag them off your leg, and again stick them in your back pocket. Going on from layers, plenty of layers on top as well. Now, as I said earlier, I much prefer to start off cold. My legs warm up very, very quickly anyway, so they very rarely feel the cold. But on top, you definitely want to keep your chest and neck area warm, because that's where you can start getting real problems with your breathing, and you can really struggle. So if it's really cold, I'll have a vest base layer on the bottom. I'll then wear a short sleeve jersey, a gilet, and then a long sleeve jersey over the top. The only downside of wearing jackets and stuff on top is that if you do get hot, this can be quite bulky to roll up and shove up the back of your jersey or tie around your waist or something like that. But it's just one of those things you have to deal with in the UK. We have these vast swings of temperature from 7 o'clock when we started this morning till 10:30 now. We've had a shift of 13, 14 degrees in the space of 3.5 hours. So it's just one of those things you need to get used to in the UK. And thankfully, these days don't last too long, because you go from it being very cold till, I won't say very warm, but quite warm quite quickly. And so you only get a few weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks of these transitional periods. So it's not too bad, but definitely arm warmers, leg warmers, things that you can take off easily. They bunch up small and they can stick in your pocket all the way forward. Or you can just do like me and just be bold, start cold. Oh, and another big thing on the cold days are overshoes. Now these ones I've got here from an Irish company called Galibier. After Col de Galibier, and they're thick 4mm neoprene material. Keep your feet lovely and warm. I've also got merino wool socks on as well, so my feet are toasty warm right now. But yeah, on those cold days, the worst thing for me is having cold toes and cold hands. So I also wear Galibier midwinter gloves with some glove liners underneath that, because that really helps keep out the cold as well. So yeah, that's my setup. But let me know down in the comments how you ride in these transitional days, because I know everyone is different and everyone has their own method. So I'd love to hear about it. And I always find it interesting what other people do, because you never know, I might adopt it as well if it's a slightly better method than me starting freezing cold in the morning. But that's that ride finished. We did 36.5 miles today, and Jimmy had to get back quick smart today to do some family stuff, which is why we didn't have any loops around the housing estate today, and we didn't end on a nice round number. But 36.5 miles is good. Good stretch out of the legs, nice early morning run. And now I've got to go and fix a squeaky brake disc. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.
Summertime and the living is easy. Oh no, that's the love pack.